DC Comics has some of the most instantly recognizable covers ever made. So I wanted to see what happened when I took the ones famous for introducing DC's Trinity and rebuild them from the ground up with modern composition, new colors, and the benefit of having grown up with these characters my entire life. Ever since I was a kid, I've loved these characters. Well before I ever made my first comic book. Do I have what it takes to take these iconic covers and bring them to the modern day? Let's dive in and find out. Starting with a big one, Detective Comics number 27, the first appearance of the one and only Batman. A perfect example of the quirky charm that a lot of these Golden Age covers really had. This guy is having the worst day of his life. Not only did a guy dressed as a bat just pull him into the sky with the nastiest chokehold I've ever seen, but he also lost his hat. Jokes aside, I really do like the overall feeling of this cover. The camera's perspective just over the shoulder of these criminals puts us in their shoes. There's a new superhero in town, and unless we want to end up like that guy, we'd be smart to remain in the shadows. But before I just jump into my redraw, I want to show you something that honestly made this whole process way easier. Because sometimes when you're diving into a big project, it can be hard to find a good place to bring all your ideas together. That's why I've organized all of mine inside Milanote, who also happens to be sponsoring this video. Milanote is basically a big customizable workspace built specifically for people like you and me. And honestly, it's quickly become my go-to place to plot all of my future stories. Now, whenever inspiration strikes, I can create a new board, add notes, checklists, images, references, whatever I want, in a way that works best for my brain. And if I have no clue where to start, I can choose from any of their pre-designed templates. So for Detective Comics number 27, first I made an overview and reference board, where I could immediately start breaking down anything significant I noticed about the original cover. Every key element, from the composition to the colors and even the differences in Batman's first costume. I really want to try and incorporate those unique ears from that early cowl. I also used Milanote's web clipper to pull inspiration directly from my browser. In this case, homages from other brilliant artists who have tackled this cover before. Now I can visualize anything I want to annotate, make notes about, and keep in mind when I go to draw my cover. Then I created a separate sketchboard where I uploaded both of my thumbnail layouts for this new cover. This way I can test variations, compare silhouettes, and leave notes right on top at any time. And when I'm away from my desk, I can open the same board on my phone through the Milanote mobile app, tweak a note, or drop in a new idea before I forget. I even shared the board with a friend using Milanote's collaboration tools to get some quick feedback on which composition felt the most retro Batman, while still feeling like something brand new. Milanote is free to start without any time limit. If you want to try Milanote for your own projects, use my link in the description. Alright, so now to really dive into this redesign. I really want to push the composition to feel more dynamic, cinematic, something that really still honors these early pulp roots, but gives us that darker, moodier feel that we all know Batman for. I spend extra time figuring out Batman's pose, because while the original gives us a great look at the costume itself, I felt like maybe his pose was a bit stiff. And honestly, I just had to save that criminal from that headlock. I tried to keep all of Batman's original suit details intact, although it took a lot of self-control to not include the iconic gauntlets Batman's costume is now known for, because before he just had these purple gloves. As for the criminal himself, we've given his neck a break and now have him more focused on losing his hat, conveying this feeling that his priorities are all in the wrong places. He may have lost his hat now, but when the Dark Knight's done with him, he might be missing a lot more.
I'll kill you.
And perhaps this falling hat alerts the two criminals down below. Two thugs hired to kill the three partners at the head of the Apex Chemical Corporation and collect a contract. A small detail, but I still thought it would be a fun little nod to the plot. And you can tell this is an old Batman comic, because when he's finished dealing with bad guys, he just drops the coldest one-liner. A fitting end for his kind.
Gee, Batman, don't you think that's a bit harsh? Whoop, he's gone.
I really love that in this cover we get to see him use what I assume is his grappling hook, showing very much that he's not a hero with superpowers. In the original, the building he's grappling to is nowhere to be seen, and the Gotham as we know it now is filled with these towering Gothic buildings that I felt like this composition could really use. Color-wise, I'm trying to keep a hint of that original yellow that's all over the background of the original, but I want to make clear that it's nighttime, and I thought the cool yellow uplighting would be a good homage. It also just gives us this really cool grungy atmosphere. After adding the final touches and the uplighting, my redraw of Detective Comics number 27 is complete. Enter Batman, the Dark Knight. Up next, the debut of the one and only Wonder Woman, Sensation Comics #1. I'll be honest, I'd never heard of Sensation Comics before. I always had thought that Wonder Woman headlined her own comics from the start, but this cover is really fun. Wonder Woman looks confident, charging straight ahead at these thugs. Wonder Woman is here and she means business. By changing the dead-on approach of the original to more of a low-angle one, we can really add to the feeling that she's larger than life. And if I take that leaping pose and push it a little further, we can really give her the feeling of forward momentum. We don't see her lasso in this drawing because this cover refers to a scene in the comic where just after stepping out of a department store, she comes face to face with these robbers, and it's the first time we get to see her use her iconic gauntlets to block these bullets. As for the robbers themselves, this cover would have you think that they're pretty important, but in context that couldn't be further from the truth. I thought it'd be funny to have it look like as she's dodging these bullets, she's leaping from thug to thug, knocking them over in the process effortlessly. And of course, I had to find a spot to highlight her invisible jet in the background. Now the comic does mention that Diana flies to Washington DC, but given how little it's featured, it's kind of funny to me just how prominent it is on this cover. Maybe it's all just to tie in the American red, white, and blue of her costume. The only detail about the background I was kind of torn on was this big yellow circle behind her. Now of course in the original, it's really just meant to make her pop off the page, but in this modern version, it just didn't look right. So I figured I could turn it into a warm, glowing light source to soften the starkness of that background. And here we have it, my redrawn cover of Sensation Comics #1. Up next, Action Comics #1, the world's first superhero and possibly the most valuable comic ever made. In this cover, we get a fantastic shot of Superman himself, sporting the blue, red, and yellow costume we know him very well for. But as awesome as this cover is, it's kind of random. Why does Superman look angry? Why is he about to smash this green car? Well, just like the previous covers, this scenario almost perfectly reflects an actual moment from the story inside. It all starts when Clark invites Lois on a date, and some guy named Butch decides he's gonna swoop in and take Lois from Clark. Afraid of revealing his identity as Superman, Clark doesn't step in and leaves Lois to deal with Butch by herself. She's understandably pretty upset by the whole thing and gets out of there. One thing leads to the next, and Butch and his cronies manage to capture Lois, but of course, Superman is there to save the day. He picks up the car, dumps them out, smashes the car for the thumbnail, and gives Butch the craziest wedgie you've ever seen. Modern day Superman might be a punk rocker, but OG Superman rocks punks. For my version, I'm going to try and keep the core idea of Superman lifting the car. But instead of that awkward overhead grip, I want him to hold it from beneath so that the car's shadow kind of eclipses him, exaggerating its size and showing off his strength. I'm also deciding to tilt the camera upwards slightly and put us at the area of impact so that not only does Superman feel larger than life, but we're also a little closer to the action. And while I might have been strong enough to leave out Batman's gauntlets, the original Superman logo really just wasn't doing it for me. I always really liked drawing the black and red version that the Fleischer Studios cartoons had, so it's the one exception I'm going to make. And it still feels classic. And of course, I couldn't forget Butch and his cronies mere moments before wedgie time. And because all the action lines in the original cover are headed toward the center, I wanted to add a singular hard light source that really draws you into Superman's silhouette. Honestly, I really struggled redrawing this cover because even though this cover is over 80 years old, it's stood the test of time. And there you have it, my redrawing of Action Comics #1, leaving us with one final cover. You heard me right, I'm drawing one more cover. For years, these superheroes have inspired me, long before I ever created my own superheroes. So I figured in the spirit of redrawing first issue covers, I'd take another stab at Bullet Boy #1, the comic I made for my superhero Bullet Boy all those years ago. He's no Batman, Wonder Woman, or Superman, but could definitely use the redraw treatment. Now to go ahead and call out the elephant in the room, this version of Bullet Boy and this cover were very inspired by Spider-Man. Bullet Boy is a hero with super speed. There is no need for him to be climbing on a building like this, but because this is an homage, I'm gonna try and keep the location the same. Maybe he's having one of those wistful, awe-inspiring, coming-of-age superhero moments where after saving the day, he's surveying the city from the rooftops. That might also put things later in the day, allowing us to put a nice warm sunset in the background, complete with city skyline, contextualizing this building rooftop a little better than the original. If you couldn't tell, I usually prefer my comic covers with a little bit more action, but every once in a while a cover with a feeling like this is a nice change of pace. Maybe it'd even make a good variant cover. You've got to let me know down in the comments which of these redraws was your favorite. The detective, the sensation, or the one packed with action. I hope you enjoyed this trip to the past as much as I did, and if you have suggestions for other covers I should redraw, let me know and be sure you subscribe because there's a good chance I'll be doing this again. YouTube thinks you'll enjoy this video right here. I'll see ya in the next one.